The unexpected invitation. The laboratory lights hummed softly as Maya Chen peered through her microscope at the fascinating cell structure of a Venusian moss sample. Her dark hair tied back in a messy bun, fingers adjusting the focus with practiced precision, when a familiar melodic voice interrupted her concentration. "Still buried in your work, Maya?" Nova's words carried that distinctive lilt of her homeworld, her purple skin seeming to glow under the fluorescent lights, those striking silver eyes sparkling with amusement. Maya looked up and smiled at her friend, noticing Kyle standing just behind Nova, his deeper violet complexion and golden eyes creating a stunning contrast. Both of them wore the standard academy uniform, but somehow made it look exotic, like they were royalty playing at being students. "Someone has to actually study at this study session," Maya teased, stretching her arms above her head, feeling the tension release from her shoulders after 3 hours hunched over her research. Kyle moved closer, his tall frame casting a shadow across her workstation, that slight smile playing at his lips that always made Maya's heart skip. "We've been thinking," he began, glancing at Nova, who nodded encouragingly. "It's been 4 months since we met, and you've been so open to learning about Azarin culture, asking questions, showing genuine interest rather than that clinical curiosity most humans display." Maya felt warmth spread through her chest at the compliment. She'd always been drawn to these two, from the moment they'd been assigned as her lab partners. Their easy camaraderie and the way they seemed to communicate without words, sharing glances that held entire conversations. "We want to share something special with you," Kyle said, his voice dropping to that deeper register that sent shivers down Maya's spine. "Something we don't offer to just anyone." Nova reached out, her fingers brushing Maya's hand, the touch sending unexpected electricity through her nerves. "Our ship has a holographic simulation chamber. It can recreate the sacred beaches of Azura, where our people go to form deep bonds, to truly connect beyond surface interactions." "It's completely private," Kyle added quickly, reading the hesitation in Maya's expression. "Just the 3 of us, no prying eyes from the Academy Council or judgmental classmates." Maya's mouth went dry. She'd felt the growing tension between them for weeks. Now, the way their study sessions had evolved from purely academic to something more. Lingering touches when passing equipment, sitting closer than necessary, those long looks that seemed to see straight through her defenses. She started, then paused, her practical mind warring with the desire that had been building in her chest. These were her friends, her lab partners. Crossing that line could complicate everything, yet the pull she felt toward them was undeniable. "When?" she heard herself ask. "Tomorrow evening," Nova replied, her silver eyes holding Maya's gaze with steady warmth. "After the last lecture cycle ends, we can slip away unnoticed." "Think about it," Kyle suggested, though his expression suggested he already knew her answer. "But Maya, we've both felt this connection growing. We see the way you look at us when you think we're not paying attention." Maya felt her cheeks flush hot, caught in her secret observations. The truth was she had been fantasizing about exactly this kind of moment for weeks, wondering what it would be like to explore the attraction that simmered beneath their friendship. "I don't need to think about it," she said, surprising herself with her boldness. "Yes, I want to experience this with you both." Nova's face lit up with genuine joy, while Kyle's golden eyes darkened with something that looked like hunger tempered with tenderness. "Tomorrow then," he confirmed. The next evening arrived with agonizing slowness. Maya changed outfits 3 times before settling on something comfortable, a soft blue tunic and dark pants. Her hands trembling slightly as she met Kyle and Nova at the Academy's edge near the docking bay. Their ship was sleek and beautiful, all curves and iridescent panels that shifted colors in the fading light. Once inside, the technology was beyond anything human-made. Responsive surfaces that seemed to anticipate their needs. Soft ambient lighting that adjusted to their moods. "This way," Nova guided Maya through corridors that hummed with quiet energy. Kael following close behind, his presence a warm pressure at Maya's back. The simulation chamber took Maya's breath away. The walls had dissolved into an endless vista of purple-pink sky meeting crystalline turquoise waters, bioluminescent sands stretching in both directions, strange, beautiful flowers blooming impossibly from the dunes. "Welcome to Azura," Kael whispered near her ear, his breath warm against her skin. The air smelled of exotic spices and ocean salt, temperature perfect, as if the environment itself was designed for comfort. In the center of the beach simulation sat a shallow pool that glowed with soft light, cushions arranged around it, bottles of what looked like iridescent liquid waiting. This is where we begin. No expectations, no pressure, just three people choosing to be truly present with each other. Maya's heart pounded as she settled onto the cushions, Kael on one side, Nova on the other, close enough that she could feel their warmth, see the way the simulated starlight played across their purple skin. Nova poured 3 glasses of the shimmering liquid. This is Karesh. It helps lower inhibitions, makes it easier to speak truth. Completely safe, you have my word. Maya accepted the glass. The liquid tasted like honey and lightning, warmth spreading through her limbs almost immediately. Not drunk, but present, aware of every sensation. "Tell us something you've never told anyone," Kael suggested, his fingers tracing idle patterns on Maya's wrist.
Boundaries dissolving. The Karesh hummed through Maya's veins like liquid courage, softening the edges of her usual caution while sharpening every other sensation. The warmth of Kael's fingers on her wrist, the weight of Nova's gaze, the gentle lapping of the simulated water against the pool's edge. "Something I've never told anyone," Maya repeated, her voice steadier than she expected. She took a breath and decided honesty was the only path forward. "I've been attracted to you both since the first week we met. I kept telling myself it was just fascination with your culture, but I'd lie awake at night imagining what it would be like to kiss you, to be touched by you, both of you." The confession hung in the air between them, vulnerable and raw. Nova's silver eyes widened slightly before her expression melted into something tender and hungry all at once. "We know," Kael said softly, his thumb now making slow circles on the inside of Maya's wrist. "We could sense it, the way your pulse would quicken when we stood too close, how you'd catch your breath when our hands would brush during experiments." On Azura, Nova began, shifting closer until her thigh pressed against Maya's. "We're taught to honor desire rather than hide from it. Attraction between 3 people is considered especially blessed, a triangle of energy that can create something more powerful than any pair alone." Maya turned to face Nova fully, emboldened by the Karesh and the acceptance in those alien eyes. "Show me," she whispered. Nova closed the distance, her lips meeting Maya's in a kiss that started gentle but quickly deepened. Her mouth tasted like Karesh and something sweeter, something uniquely her. Maya felt Nova's hand cup her cheek, fingers sliding into her hair as the kiss intensified. When they finally broke apart, Maya was breathless, only to find Kael watching them with undisguised appreciation, his golden eyes dark with desire. "My turn," he murmured. His kiss was different, more demanding, his lips firm and insistent as his hand slid to the back of Maya's neck, holding her in place while his tongue explored her mouth with confident strokes. Maya moaned softly, feeling heat pool low in her belly. "Into the water," Nova suggested, already standing and removing her uniform top, revealing skin that seemed to shimmer in the bioluminescent light, her form graceful and unashamed. Maya hesitated only a moment before following suit, her hands shaking slightly as she shed her clothing. Kael did the same, his body all lean muscle and that fascinating purple skin that she dreamed of touching. The water was perfect, warm and silky against bare skin, seeming to pulse with some kind of energy that made every nerve ending come alive. Maya gasped as she stepped in, sinking to her shoulders. Kael entered behind her, his hands settling on her waist, pulling her back against his chest. She could feel every inch of him, the hardness of his desire pressing against her. On Azura, he spoke directly into her ear. "We communicate through touch. Let me show you our language." His hands began to move, sliding up her sides, tracing patterns that seemed to follow some internal rhythm, each touch sending waves of pleasure radiating outward. Maya's head fell back against his shoulder, eyes closing as sensation overwhelmed thought. Nova appeared in front of her, water dripping from her hair, her hands joining Kale's exploration, fingers dancing across Maya's collarbone, down between her breasts, across her stomach with teasing lightness. In our culture, Nova said, her voice husky, pleasure is shared equally, given and received without hierarchy. We move as one. Maya felt herself being turned, now facing KL, while Nova pressed against her back, sandwiched between them in the pulsing water. KL's mouth found hers again, while Nova's lips traced the curve of her shoulder, teeth grazing sensitive skin. The water seemed to amplify everything, every touch, every kiss, every breath. Maya's hands explored KL's chest, feeling the subtle differences in his physiology, the way his skin responded to her touch with slight color shifts, deepening to a richer purple wherever her fingers trailed. Nova's hand slid lower, bold and sure, finding places that made Maya cry out against KL's mouth, the sound swallowed by his kiss. Kale's own hands mirrored Nova's movements, the two aliens working in perfect synchronization, as if they'd choreographed this dance. "Please," Maya gasped, when Kale's mouth moved to her throat. "I need—" "We know what you need," Nova whispered, her fingers working magic that made Maya's vision blur with pleasure. "Let go. Let us take care of you." The water swirled around them as they moved together, Kale lifting Maya slightly, positioning her, Nova's hands guiding, and then the sensation of being filled, connected, joined in the most intimate way possible. Maya's gasp echoed across the simulated beach. They moved slowly at first, finding their rhythm, Kale's hands gripping Maya's hips, while Nova's fingers continued their skilled exploration, the three of them creating a circuit of pleasure that built and built. "You're so beautiful like this," Kale groaned, his control slipping, "so perfect, taking me so well." Nova's mouth found Maya's ear. "Feel how we complete each other, how right this is, three becoming one." The water pulsed with their movements, the bioluminescence growing brighter, responding to the energy between them. Maya felt herself climbing towards something vast, pleasure coiling tighter and tighter in her core. Kale's pace increased, his breath ragged. Nova's fingers matched his rhythm, and Maya shattered, crying out as waves of ecstasy crashed through her, her body clenching and releasing. Kale followed moments later, his own release accompanied by a low groan. They stayed connected for long moments, breathing hard, the water settling around them. Nova kissed Maya's temple tenderly. "That was just the beginning," she promised. As they slowly separated and moved to the cushions surrounding the pool, Maya felt fundamentally changed. Boundaries she'd maintained her entire life had dissolved in the space of an hour, replaced by something new and terrifying and absolutely right. Kale pulled her against his side, Nova curling around her other side, their purple skin a beautiful contrast against her own. "Rest now," Kale murmured. "We have all night, and there's so much more we want to show you." Maya closed her eyes, feeling safe and cherished between them, knowing that whatever came next, whatever complications this would bring, she'd made the right choice. Sometimes the most profound connections required the courage to leap into the unknown, and she'd found two people worth leaping for. The simulated stars above them twinkled like approval, and Maya let herself drift in the aftermath of pleasure, surrounded by warmth and acceptance, and the promise of more to come.
Morning revelations. Soft light filtered through the simulation chamber's artificial dawn, painting everything in shades of amber and rose. Maya stirred slowly, her body deliciously sore in ways that made her cheeks flush with remembered pleasure. She was wrapped in warmth on both sides. Kael's arm draped across her waist, Nova's fingers entwined with hers. For a moment, she simply lay there, listening to their synchronized breathing, marveling at how natural this felt. How right. Back on Earth, the idea of being with two people simultaneously would have seemed impossible, scandalous even. But here in the space between worlds, old rules seemed less important than what her heart was telling her. Nova shifted first, those silver eyes opening and immediately finding Maya's face, a slow smile spreading across her features. "Good morning," she whispered, leaning in to place a gentle kiss on Maya's lips. "How do you feel?"
Overwhelmed, Maya admitted honestly. Amazing, terrified, confused, all at once. KL woke then, his golden eyes still heavy with sleep. He tightened his arm around Maya and pressed his face into her hair. Terrified is understandable, he rumbled. What we shared last night, it changes things. They eventually untangled themselves and made their way to the ship's common area, where Nova prepared breakfast. Something with fruits Maya didn't recognize. Their colors too vibrant, their taste complex and satisfying. They ate in comfortable silence for a while, stealing glances at each other. "We need to talk about this," Maya said finally, setting down her utensil. "About what last night means. About what happens next." Nova nodded, her expression growing serious. "On Azura, what we experienced is called a tria bond, 3 souls choosing to intertwine. It's not taken lightly. Once formed, it's meant to be permanent." Maya's heart stuttered. "Permanent? But we're students. We barely know each other outside of lab work and last night." "We know you better than you think," KL said gently. 4 months of working together, watching how you treat others with kindness, how your mind works through problems, how you laugh when you're truly delighted. We didn't invite you to the beach on impulse, Maya." "This was planned?" Maya felt a flash of something. Not quite anger, but close. "Not the specifics," Nova said quickly. "But yes, we've been hoping for weeks that you'd be open to exploring this connection. We felt it growing between us. We wanted to honor it properly." Maya stood and paced to the viewport, staring out at the stars beyond, her mind racing. In human culture, relationships are typically between 2 people, monogamous, exclusive. What you're describing sounds like you want what exactly? KL joined her at the viewport, careful not to crowd her space. "We want you as our partner, our equal in all things. Azurans don't view love as a finite resource. The heart doesn't diminish by loving more than one person. It expands." "And physically?" Maya asked, needing to understand completely. "We would all 3 share intimacy, sometimes together, as we did last night, sometimes in pairs, whatever feels right in the moment. There's no jealousy in tria bonds because trust is absolute." Maya's head spun with the implications. "My family would never understand. Human society, the Academy has rules about fraternization between species. We could lose our scholarships, our research positions." "We know the risks," KL said quietly, "which is why we're not asking for an answer right now. We're simply asking if you're willing to explore this, to see where it leads. We can be discreet." "I don't want to be a secret," Maya said, surprised by the fierceness in her own voice. "If I'm going to do this, whatever this is, I won't hide like I'm ashamed." Nova's face lit up with pride. "Spoken like a true Azuran," she said warmly. Maya turned to face them both, these 2 incredible beings who had shown her pleasure and vulnerability in equal measure. "I have feelings for you both," she admitted. "Strong feelings that scare me because they developed so fast. But I need time to figure out what that means, what I'm capable of giving." "Time we have," Kale agreed. "We're not going anywhere." They spent the rest of the morning talking, really talking, about their cultures and their hopes and their fears. Nova shared stories of growing up on Azura, where tria bonds were celebrated, how her own parents were part of a quad bond that had lasted 40 years. KL spoke of his scientific ambitions and how he'd always felt incomplete until meeting Nova and then later Maya. Maya found herself opening up about her childhood, about losing her mother young and how it made her cautious with her heart, about her drive to understand alien biology as a way of connecting with the vastness of the universe. "Your mother would be proud of who you've become," Nova said softly, taking Maya's hand. "She'd probably think I was insane for considering this," Maya laughed, but it was watery, emotional. "Or she'd recognize that love in any form is worth pursuing," KL suggested. By the time they returned to the academy that afternoon, Maya felt both more confused and more certain than she'd ever been. Confused about the logistics and the future, but certain that what she felt for Kale and Nova was real, worth exploring despite the obstacles. They parted at the docking bay with careful casualness, aware that other students might be watching, but Nova squeezed Maya's hand briefly. "Tonight, your quarters. We'll bring dinner and we can continue getting to know each other. No pressure, just time together." "I'd like that," Maya agreed, her heart already anticipating the evening. As she walked back to her dormitory, Maya caught sight of Dante Rivera leaning against a pillar, his dark eyes following her progress with unmistakable suspicion. He was in her xenobiology cohort, competitive and ambitious, always looking for advantages. Their eyes met briefly, and Dante smiled, but there was no warmth in it, only calculation. Maya felt a chill run down her spine, wondering if he'd seen them arrive together, if he'd noticed anything unusual. She pushed the worry aside, refusing to let fear dictate her choices. Whatever was developing between KL and Nova deserved a chance to grow. She'd spent too long playing it safe, always the good student, the responsible one. Maybe it was time to take a risk on something that mattered, on two someones who made her feel alive in ways she'd never imagined possible. The complications would come, she was sure of that, but for now she'd focus on the evening ahead, on getting to know these two remarkable beings who had chosen her. As she entered her quarters and began tidying up for their visit, Maya caught herself humming, actually humming with anticipation, and she realized with startling clarity that for the first time in years, she was genuinely happy, genuinely hopeful about the future. Whatever came next, they'd face it together, all three of them, and that thought was both terrifying and absolutely thrilling.
Academy tensions. The following weeks passed in a blur of stolen moments and growing intensity. Maya found herself living two lives, the dutiful student by day and by night wrapped in the arms of her Azuran lovers, exploring depths of intimacy she'd never imagined possible. Study sessions in the library became exercises in restraint. Kale's hand would brush her thigh under the table. Nova's fingers would trace patterns on her neck while explaining complex theories. The tension between them electric and barely concealed. But Dante was watching, always watching. Maya noticed him everywhere, in the cafeteria, observing their interactions, lingering outside lecture halls when the three of them emerged together, his eyes calculating and cold. "He knows something," Maya whispered one evening as they lay tangled together in KL's quarters, her head on his chest while Nova traced lazy circles on her bare shoulder. "Let him suspect," Nova said, though her voice carried an edge of concern. "He has no proof." "He doesn't need proof," Maya countered, "just enough doubt to plant seeds with the Academy Council. They're already nervous about interspecies relationships. One formal complaint and they'll investigate." Kale's arms tightened around her. "Then we'll be more careful." But careful became impossible when passion overruled caution. Like the afternoon Maya and Nova were caught kissing in the hydroponics lab, not by Dante, but by a first-year student who stammered apologies and fled. Or the evening KL pulled Maya into a storage closet between classes, his mouth urgent on hers, his hands pushing up her shirt, only to hear footsteps pause outside the door. Their secret was fraying at the edges. It came to a head 3 weeks after their first night together. Maya was working late in her private lab station when Dante appeared in the doorway, his expression smug and dangerous. "Quite the interesting research you've been conducting," he said, voice dripping with false concern. "I wonder what the ethics board would think about your extracurricular activities with our Azuran guests." Maya's blood ran cold. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Please," Dante stepped closer. "I've seen you sneaking onto their ship, disappearing for hours. The way you look at them. I have recordings, Maya. Surveillance footage from the docking bay. Timestamps that show you spending nights aboard their vessel." "That's illegal surveillance," Maya said, her voice shaking with anger more than fear. "Maybe," Dante shrugged, "but it's also evidence of conduct violations.
fraternization between research partners, potential compromise of your objectivity in xenobiology studies. At minimum, you'd lose your scholarship. At worst, expulsion. "What do you want?" Maya demanded, knowing there had to be an angle. Dante's smile widened. "Withdraw from the Celestial Research Grant competition. Recommend me in your place, and your little secret stays safe." The grant was everything Maya had worked toward, a full year of funded research on any topic she chose, career-making for someone her age. "I need time to think," she said. "You have 24 hours. Then I go to Dean Morrison with everything." He left her standing there, hands trembling with rage and fear. The walls she'd built around this precious thing with KL and Nova were crumbling, threatening to bury them all. That night she told them everything, expecting anger or blame. Instead, Nova held her while she cried, KL pacing like a caged animal. "We'll leave," he said finally. "Withdraw from the academy. You keep your grant and your future." "No," Maya said fiercely. "I'm not letting Dante win. I'm not letting fear dictate our choices." "Then what do you suggest?" Nova asked gently. Maya wiped her tears, feeling something crystallize inside her. A decision made. "We stop hiding," she said. "We face this head on." "Maya, your career," KL protested, "means nothing if I lose you both in the process. I love you, both of you, and I'm tired of pretending I don't." The words hung between them, the first time any of them had said it out loud. Nova's silver eyes filled with tears. "We love you too," she whispered. KL pulled them both into his arms. "Together then," he said, "whatever comes." Choosing love. The next morning, Maya requested an emergency meeting with Dean Morrison. Walking into her office with KL and Nova flanking her, their presence a statement of unity. "This is highly irregular," the dean said, her sharp eyes taking in their formation. "I'm here to make a formal declaration," Maya began, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "I'm in a committed relationship with KL and Nova, a triabond by Azeran custom. I'm aware this may violate Academy policies, but I'm not willing to hide it any longer." Dean Morrison's expression remained unreadable. "You understand the implications? The questions this raises about research integrity, about the nature of your academic partnerships?" "Our relationship began after we established our working dynamic. Our research has never been compromised," interjected Nova. "In fact," KL added, "our collaboration has produced 3 published papers in the last month. Our work speaks for itself." The dean leaned back in her chair, fingers steepled. "There's another matter," she said. "Dante Rivera submitted a complaint this morning with surveillance footage, demanding your expulsion and his appointment to the Celestial Grant." Maya's stomach dropped, but she held her ground. "However," Dean Morrison continued, "upon review, we found that Mr. Rivera obtained his footage through illegal monitoring of private docking bays, a severe violation of Academy Code. He's been suspended pending investigation." Relief flooded through Maya so suddenly her knees nearly buckled. "As for your situation," the dean said, "the Academy's fraternization policies apply to power imbalances, faculty and students, senior researchers and assistants. You 3 are peers, equals in your cohort." "So we're not in violation?" Maya asked, hardly daring to hope. "Technically no," the dean allowed. "Though I'd advise discretion. Not everyone will be as understanding. There will be talk, judgment, complications." "We can handle that," KL said firmly, his hand finding Maya's. The dean nodded slowly. "Very well, dismissed. And Miss Chen, your grant interview is next week. I expect you'll be prepared." They left the office in stunned silence, not speaking until they reached the courtyard. Then Nova laughed, the sound bright and free, spinning in a circle. "We did it!" she exclaimed. "We survived," Maya corrected, pulling her close. "But she was right. There will be talk." "Let them talk," KL said, wrapping his arms around both of them. "We have each other. That's what matters." The weeks that followed weren't easy. There were stairs and hallways, whispered conversations that stopped when they approached, a few professors who treated them with open disdain. But there was also support. Unexpected allies who congratulated them on their courage, classmates who asked genuine questions about Azeran culture. Maya won the Celestial Grant, her research proposal on symbiotic relationships between species earning unanimous approval. I suspected the irony wasn't lost on the review board. 6 months later, they stood on the observation deck, watching Earth rotate below. KL's graduation gift to Maya had been a week-long trip to the Lunar Research Station. "I've been thinking," Nova said, her arms around Maya's waist. "After graduation, we should apply for the deep space expedition together, 2 years exploring uncharted systems." "All 3 of us," Maya clarified. "Is there any other way?" KL smiled, joining them at the viewport. Maya thought about how far she'd come from that nervous student who'd been afraid to risk her heart. She'd found something rare and precious, a love that transcended cultural boundaries and societal expectations. "No other way," she agreed. "We're a unit now, a triabond." "Forever," Nova added. "Forever," they echoed together. And below them, Earth continued its ancient rotation, beautiful and distant, while above stretched the infinite cosmos full of mysteries waiting to be discovered. And they would discover them, together. 3 souls bound by love and courage, ready to face whatever the universe had in store. Maya leaned back against KL's chest, Nova's head on her shoulder, and felt completely at peace. This was her future, complicated and unconventional, and absolutely perfect. The stars beckoned, and they answered as one. No longer hiding, no longer afraid, just 3 people brave enough to love without limits, to build something new from the courage to be authentic. And in the vast silence of space, that felt like the greatest adventure of all.